Hello, and welcome back to another episode of IG's Trading the Markets podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about something that may sound very theoretical and obscure for many, but seems to be slowly becoming the future of the internet. This is augmented reality and this thing called the Metaverse. There has been a lot of talk recently from top tech CEOs and media personalities, but what exactly is it and how will it be a part of our lives? Joining me today is Bradley Duke, founder and co-CEO of ETC Group, which has, in partnership with Han ETF, launched Europe's first UCITS Metaverse ETF. Bradley, welcome.
Thank you very much, Daniela.
First of all, let's get into the actual term, because for anyone wondering, what is metaverse? It's not necessarily one specific type of technology, but rather a shift in how we interact with technology. Is that the case? How would you explain to someone that's new to this terminology what exactly is the metaverse?
Right. Well, I mean, the metaverse, it was a phrase coined in a work of fiction by an author called Neil Stephenson back in 1992 in a book called Snow Crash. And it described a future where people would engage with each other through virtual reality in a virtual reality setting. And actually, so here we are, not that long in the future where it's become very much a reality, and it is still in its infancy. So I would say the metaverse today is a virtual space where people can engage with each other and can engage with commerce. They can buy and sell things, and they can be social with themselves represented in this kind of cyberspace as with choosing an avatar, which they can design and dress as they choose, and engage in a seemingly natural way with each other. It's underpinned by blockchain technology to a large extent for the e-commerce elements of it, but also for digital ownership. So there's NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which are used to actually assign ownership rights to individual people in this virtual space.
Yeah, you were mentioning there, NFTs, and they were the whole craze this past summer. It seems like it kind of exploded, and that's when it came to mainstream understanding of this whole parallel world, if you may, that the metaverse was. You were talking there about commerce and potentially this digital economy where users can create, buy, and sell goods. It also allows you to take things, objects from one reality or one platform to another. Is this the future of, the economy, this digital economy? Are we going to be interacting like this in the not so distant future?
Well, there's a lot of really big companies that are taking very, very big bets that this is in fact the way the world is heading. And some of the large investment banks have been looking at the size of this opportunity and trying to put a number on how big the metaverse opportunity actually is. Morgan Stanley put the number of $8.3 trillion in the United States alone on the size of the opportunity that the metaverse is presenting. And Goldman Sachs did a valuation of on the metaverse opportunity of $12 trillion globally. So this is really a sizable opportunity. There's also it also incorporates gaming as well, which is a big component. And actually, some of the constituents of our metaverse ETF are actually software game producers.
Yeah, I want to quickly just go into the companies behind this because you were mentioning there how there's been a lot of investment, a lot of valuation. Facebook recently, committing to this name switch to Meta platforms, that was in October last year. $10 billion commitment for this name change. And what they're trying to achieve, I believe, is going from a social media company to be seen as a metaverse company. What does this mean exactly, especially for someone like you having this ETF in the industry? What does this commitment mean in terms of the future of the metaverse?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting point about Facebook changing their name to Meta, because it was a real vote to the world, a signal to the world that they see online interaction and social media heading in this direction, heading in the direction of augmented and virtual reality. And this is the future of the way people will engage with each other in cyberspace. So the name changes was a real hoisting of the flag of what they think is to come. Quite a few people are asking questions about that, because knowing what we know about how Facebook actually, makes money, it's basically on, collecting data on the participants in their social media, and then, monetizing this data to sell goods and services. when you think about the metaverse itself, it's actually there's this Web 3.0, which is a little bit at odds with that, because what Web 3.0 is doing is actually putting the power back into the individuals to control who uses their data.
Yeah, and I think it's not only that people may struggle to understand, the concept of augmented reality in the metaverse, but investors may also be confused about the fact that you can actually set up trades around this notion of this parallel universe or the metaverse. Now, this is where your ETF comes into play, and it's going to be focused in on companies that have business operations in the field of augmented reality, 3D graphics, semiconductors, wireless communications, gaming. So there's definitely a lot of that into the mix. There's also some NFTs, digital land. Can you give us a bit more insight into your ETF and why you believe you needed to create this offering for the market?
Certainly. Well, there's a lot of interest in the metaverse, and there's a lot of investors who want to participate in this phenomenon that's happening. They hear about it, they can see, even Facebook changing its name. There's something happening, and they want to position themselves to take advantage of this growth and these massive numbers that they're hearing around the size of the opportunity. But it is, as you say, it's quite a complex interaction. I think it's important to note that when we're talking about NFTs in this context, people usually associate NFTs with digital pictures of monkeys or the actual art side of NFTs, which has become quite popular. But actually, it's a form of digital ownership where for any digital asset, whether it's an outfit that you're wearing on your avatar, or a weapon in a game, or a piece of space, where you can have an apartment or a shop in a key location within the metaverse itself. This is defined by a smart contract which gives you a non-fungible token, which asserts ownership, and also the amount of how many of this individual item actually exist. Or is it unique? And so this is an important underpinning of the whole economy that takes place within the metaverse. But as you were saying, there are companies like Roblox who have daily 50 million active users, and I think 200 million active monthly users. And these kind of gamers are already participating in these virtual worlds, and have been for many years now. But it's now a step forward. This is now where it's all virtual reality. That's why the headsets and the hardware providers, so the software providers on the one side, then also hardware manufacturers and semiconductor manufacturers who building the graphics cards, et cetera, et cetera. There's a whole economy around this that we wanted to include in the list of equities that constitute the index.
So, with so many options now coming into the market of different ways to kind of trade and invest in, NFTs and blockchain and all that, why would you suggest an investor invest in the fund and not in these companies individually?
Well, I think it's just really that's kind of more a general question about investing in thematic ETFs in the first place. There is always the savvy investor can always take bets on a basket of a few companies that they may choose. But the advantage of an ETF is that there's a team of researchers behind it who are looking into this. We wanted to focus on as close to as possible the pure play provider, the one who really has a lot of exposure to the success of the metaverse and the growth of this phenomenon, and also to be able for this to evolve over time, because we know that as this evolves and grows over time, there will be new companies or companies that may exist today which are not yet listed that will become listed companies and then can be included in the index over time. And the other thing that we wanted when building this particular index is to make sure that it was a global basket and not just a US only basket. I mean, sure, there is definitely a US dominance in the sector for sure, but there are a lot of companies outside of the US and in Europe and in Asia that are contributing, a lot of, let's say, product or technology to this growing sector.
Great. And just to finish off, let's talk about, the future. You've given us those benchmark figures that some of the banks have given of the industry. But what are your expectations, or what's the potential that you see in the next few years for this ETF?
So I mean, this is a big question, right? I think the probably the biggest question is how quickly this will, grow and really start to snowball into mass adoption. we've seen with real technological advances that have really changed the way society interacts with each other. I think with the internet itself, and then, with Web 2.0, that sometimes the adoption can take place slowly for a while, and then all of a sudden speed up really, really rapidly. And I think this was, helped with, in the case of the internet, with smartphone technology as well, which brought the internet to individuals everywhere around the world, rather than ones that were, attached to a connected computer. And I think we'll see something similar with the metaverse. I expect that it'll start with the tech enthusiasts, and then as people start to experience it and get drawn into the whole immersive experience that is the metaverse, and begin to see the value in, for example, shopping and trying on clothes in a virtual environment and seeing what an outfit looks like, without actually having to go into a shop. It will be one of the things that help people, understand the value and really enjoy the actual experience. And I think that's will determine how fast and how big this will grow, how when that actual mass adoption takes place.
Well, thank you, Bradley, so much for joining me today and giving us this deep dive into what seems to be this fast approaching future. Remember, you can trade the Metaverse ETF and many other ETFs on IG's investments platform. For more videos from us here at IGTV, join us on Twitter at IGCom, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.